Nitro. Try to stop my praise. You can get it too. Devil in my way.
Welcome back to the Dr. Nahshon Nicks Show. I'm so excited about our guest who's going to be educating and empowering us pertaining to financial empowerment. There's a line from the movie Friday with Smokey and Big Worm where he says, when you messing with my money, you playing with my emotions. If you would, please show some love to my brother and friend, Elder Terrence Gray.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes. If you don't mind, if you would please share with our listening and viewing audience a little bit about your credentials pertaining to financial investing.
Well, sure. Thank you. Again, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be able to speak to your audience. I've been in this industry since about 1998. Started out primarily on the insurance side, moved more on the actual carrier side, away from sales. And then in 2021, I actually left the corporate world and started my own insurance agency and felt that there was a need for me to expand even more. And so I expanded into financial services as well because I wanted to be able to help God's people to be able to actually capitalize on the systems of the world instead of being victims of the system. But I wanted to be able to empower them with information and opportunity to be able to capitalize and to be able to realize what God has in store for them.
I love it. I love the overview and how you kind of broke it down. And with that being said, how do you define financial literacy? Looking at it from, we're in Duval in Jacksonville, but from a local perspective as well as a national and global perspective, how do you look at financial literacy?
So let's look at the word literacy first, right? So literacy, a lot of people define that as just having knowledge, and I actually define it just slightly different. It's knowing what to do with that knowledge. Oftentimes we hear stuff, but we don't necessarily understand it, and to the degree that we know how to use it. And so my goal is to provide a level of literacy that goes beyond just hearing it, but knowing what to do with it and having the opportunity to do it.
Okay. So for a novice, folks that say, you know what, I know what's in my checking account, I know what's in my bank account, I know what my monthly bills are. How do we go past a novice stage to really being able to test our skills to the market per se?
That's a very good question. So one of the things that I do is I take it from a very basic level. And I start at some foundational things, right? When we start talking about foundational literacy, a lot of people immediately think of investing, right? Going to the stock market, day trading, things of that nature. But that's a little bit more advanced when it comes to financial planning. And from that perspective, we started foundational things. Do you have life insurance? Do you have disability? You know, do you have your wills? Have you named your beneficiaries? So simple things like that, that's the beginning of financial literacy. Also things like debt management, money management, the fundamentals, right? Because if those fundamental things aren't established and have a control on those, it can actually wreck your opportunity when it comes to investing, buying property, things that you think is going to generate income for you. When you start looking at the death of like a primary breadwinner, them going out on disability, that can impact their ability to actually have funds available to actually invest. And so we want to take care of those fundamental things first. And so once we take care of the fundamentals, then we start looking at, okay, now that we freed up some money, now that we made sure that your foundation is strong, now let's build some walls. And those walls are typically your investment opportunities, your retirement accounts, right? So it goes even beyond stocks, but your retirement accounts, what can you do there? Are there other things that you can get into, some type of like a real estate investment trust or something of that nature, right? And so we look at opportunities to maximize the dollars that you freed up from the foundational level to be able to grow that into a pot of money that can handle retirement, that can handle, your mortgage, that can handle all of the things that you have, and that leads up to retirement. From that perspective, then we look at how do we now spend that money, all right, in those retirement years? How do we do that efficiently? How do we do that so efficiently that we can move you to where you're not really having to pay so much tax now to the point that you're actually not paying taxes on the money that you're drawing for retirement? So we look for strategies to actually get you into that mode that you're not having to deal so much with Uncle Sam in your retirement, therefore creating more assets for you. And that leads us to the last piece, which is kind of that legacy planning. That legacy planning is, how am I going to leave something to my next generation? And so we try to create instances in each one of those levels that generate more funds to leave in that legacy planning. And that legacy planning is not just leaving to your family, but also leaving to maybe a charitable organization, like your church, for example, leaving something to them. Because it's important that the work of God continues. And so we, with us being a faith-based, we want to make sure we incorporate that faith continuance, even in giving at death.
Wow, that is very robust with that response. I mean, you kind of laid it down from alpha to omega, the beginning to the end, birth to
Absolutely.
death, and then you kind of stole some of my thunder.
That's
I was
okay,
going to ask you,
because I can come back to it.
I was going to ask you from a biblical perspective. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children and children's children. And obviously, if you don't have a will, a trust, and you have identified beneficiaries, it's not guaranteed that those individuals are going to get what you left behind.
That's true.
Is there anything that you've noticed through your lived experience? Because you hear of folks like, I think, Aretha Franklin, Prince, very wealthy individuals who basically did not necessarily have wills in place for folks to be able to say, well, this is what my brother left me, this is what my uncle left me, this is what my grandmother left me. Have you had a chance to kind of like maybe prevent that from happening with some of your clients? Or how do you address the folks that partner with you?
Okay, very dynamic question. All right, so I'm going to step back and I'm going to take the first part of it. So we have been commanded to leave our next generation and that next generation an inheritance, right? But oftentimes that doesn't happen for one reason or another, right? We have too much debt. We just don't have enough built up. We use it all in retirement, whatever the case may be. So there's a number of reasons that folks don't leave that generational wealth, so to speak. But we have to make sure that that's a part of our planning. Oftentimes, I find that in our community, we plan to live day by day. And we don't necessarily plan for that generational transference or that generational wealth building. We focus on what can we do today? What can we do immediately? And not necessarily what can I do today and tomorrow. And so from that perspective, we have to change our mindset, because one of the issues that we run into often is the mindset that money is a goal for us to accomplish. And once we accomplish it, that we're done. But that mindset has to be changed so that we think about money as a tool to accomplish what God has told us to do. Okay? And so if we change that mindset and we start utilizing it as a tool and we stop using it as a goal, now we can start focusing on leaving that legacy, leaving those assets to our next generation and things of that nature. And so when we start talking about helping people, again, those foundational things are going to be key. And we start talking about the actual growth part of it, that's going to be key, right? All of that leads up to that legacy planning. And if we don't start doing those things now, then we probably won't do them later on. The sooner you start, your early 20s, early 30s, is ideal. Once you get into your 40s and you're 50, your time horizon starts to diminish. And so you don't have as much time to actually accomplish your goal, right? And without as much time to accomplish your goal, that means that you're not going to build up as much wealth, you're not going to build up as many assets, and therefore you're not going to be able to pass along much to the next generation. One of the things that, personally that I wanted to do was not be able to pass debt to my family as a legacy.
Okay. All right, well, so give an example of how people can unintentionally pass debt to the next generation.
Yeah, so I'll give you just a real good example. It's a real simple issue of debt. When you die, everything associated with you goes through court probate. Okay? Most families don't save up for legal fees.
Okay.
When your assets, when your estate goes through probate, your family now has to get an attorney. Where are they going to get those funds? You've just passed debt to them.
Okay.
It's very simple, right? But if you handle things like a will, name beneficiaries, maybe a trust, you avoid probate. And instead of passing debt to them, you're now passing assets to them.
Okay. All right. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. And for our listening and viewing audience, how do people make contact with you? How can they request an appointment, a one-on-one session, or a small group setting with family elders, things of that nature? How can people reach out to you?
No, it's a great question. You can reach me on my cell phone at 904-252-2918. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Hold on,
So
and make sure you put in there, you got this information from Dr. Nicks.
Absolutely.
And the Dr. Nahshon Nicks Show. So make sure you let them know, hey, I saw the show, it registered with me, I'm 27, I'm about to hit 30, it's time for me to take a course of action. The book talks about when I was a child, I thought like a child, I spake like a child. And I'm paraphrasing, but when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Absolutely.
So, in so many words to our listening and viewing audience, this is grown man business. This is not the newest sneaker, the latest vehicle, the biggest house, but making sure that we got these pieces in place. Like you said, when we're in our 20s, our 30s, I'm in my 40s. So, and the key thing is that, and I didn't come up with this phrase, but they say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Right.
And this is an opportunity for you to be about your business, taking care of your family's business, and putting those things in place. So once again, give us that number one more time.
Absolutely. It's 904-252-2918.
Perfect. And I'm gonna throw this out to you, okay? The Bible talks about as long as the earth remains, there will be seed time and harvest. Based on your credentials, your experience, your faith, what does that mean to you and what you do for people?
No, that's also a good question. So seed time is a time of planting, right? So that's where you actually have to put in the work. You know, when you start thinking about seed sowing and from a farming standpoint, you have to go till the land. You know, you have to remove the things that are going to hinder the growth of the seed. And then you have to plant the seed, and then you have to water the seed. You have to fertilize, right? So that means that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the seed sowing phase. And it's the same way financially. You know, when it comes to sowing that seed for the harvest time, in other words, for the time for you to retire and time for you to pass the legacy, you've got to put the work in ahead of time, right? So you can't plan for retirement at age 65. You can't plan for retirement at age 60 because there's not enough time left. And so from that standpoint, you have to put in the time to do things like the life insurance so that you're not leaving your family with having to finance your funeral, you know, through GoFundMe, so that you're not leaving them with having to absorb legal fees associated with probate. Do that stuff in your younger years because there's a lot of time for you to actually build up not just your assets, but handle those things that could actually negatively impact your family when you get to retirement or if all of a sudden you're no longer here.
So hold on, I got to pause you for just a second because what you're saying, it sounds good, it sounds great. I know people would say, okay, you gave me this information but you didn't connect me with the people to complete these things that you're recommending. Do you actually make sure that it's a smooth handoff and transfer? All right, thank you, Mr. Terrence Gray, for making sure that I got this life insurance policy, but can you also introduce me to the attorneys to help make sure that my will and my trust is also in place? Or is that something I have to go out and find on my own?
Well, it's either or, right? So if you have relationships with attorneys or CPAs, you can definitely go that route. And we'll help coordinate all of the actual interactions that need to occur with those individuals. So
you will assist in that process?
Absolutely. Or we can actually refer you to someone that we're comfortable with, that we've worked with as well, if you don't have somebody already in mind. So it's really whatever you're comfortable with. You know, we're here to actually be a fiduciary to you, to help you out.
What does fiduciary mean?
A fiduciary is somebody who's legally bound to do what's in your best interest. And that's whether it's your life insurance, your disability, your investment accounts, you know, your legacy planning, whatever associated with your finances. We have to do what's in your best interest, not what's going to pay us, not what's going to pay someone else. So we don't get referral, you know, compensation and things of that nature. We have to do literally what's in your best interest.
All right. And one of the things that I noticed, right, if it's not in the top feed on Facebook, if it's not in the top feed on Instagram, if it's not in the top feed on LinkedIn or TikTok, people may be going to people who say that they're a financial expert based off of a social media presence. How do we separate the real from the fake?
Well, first and foremost, the Securities Exchange Commission, along with FINRA, they track everybody who's literally a financial advisor. You can go to FINRA's website and actually search for an actual financial advisor. That's someone who's been licensed and certified to actually do financial planning.
So where do you fall in that process? Because my goal is, I brought you here because you're someone I know and I trust. I need folks who trust what I'm doing to know that I'm not bringing a Rudy Poot off the street to say, hey, come talk about financial literacy, financial planning. Can you please go over your credentials again to let them know the time that you put in for study, research, experience in this particular field?
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, I'll go back. So in 1998, I got into the insurance business, negotiating contracts from a sales side. I moved internally to a management position, several management positions, including assistant vice president and vice president within the insurance and financial world. I left there and started my own insurance agency that focused on group employee benefits, including retirement and pension planning. Expanded that to be able to actually add true financial planning at the individual level and not necessarily group level. That involved me studying for my Series 7 test, which is one of the highest levels that you can obtain from a financial advisory standpoint. I also obtained my Series 66, which also is a very high level at the state level. Your Series 7 is at the federal level. And so I was able to not necessarily just pass those tests, but do very well at those. And then also team myself up with organizations that have a long history, well over 100 years of doing exactly this. And I also surrounded myself with a team that has just as much experience as I have. So when I say I've been doing this since 1998, I've got members on my team who've actually been here doing the same thing since the early 80s. And so when we start looking at the depth that we have in terms of our bench, that's what you want to look for. You want to look for not just the level of informational knowledge that a person has, but you also want to look at the practical application that they've utilized with people. You also want to be able to see what type of bench strength they have. Because the reality is, I can't do everything. I can't be everywhere.
All right. I'm sold. Okay. Yeah. But now I need to do another lyric question. When
Absolutely.
I introduce you as Elder Terrence Gray.
Absolutely.
Can you please share with our listening and viewing audience your convictions? All right, we got your credentials out the way. What are your convictions? Like, what motivates you, and why are you so passionate in this particular area?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this in this space. So you did mention I am an elder. I am not just a professed follower of Christ. I'm an active follower of Christ. And for me, that means that I have to consistently do something. That's one of the reasons the name of my ministry is called Christ in Action International Church, because we believe that Christ, being in Christ, means that you have to be in action, doing something, not just opening your mouth, but doing something. And one of my beliefs is that I need to help God's people as much as I can in whatever vertical He's put me in. And He's put me in the financial vertical space. And so from that perspective, whatever I can do, whatever my hands can find themselves to do to help empower God's people to be able to capitalize on the wealth of the wicked that's laid up for them, then so be it. I'll do it.
And I appreciate that. You also did a guest column within the op-ed that we wrote entitled When Black America Wins, America Wins. And with that, it's not putting any group or nationality of people down. It's just saying that we have not been competing at the same level. Like I said, when you start looking at, I think it's, was it Abraham Lincoln Lewis? And I believe he was within the First Coast region. He was able to become a black millionaire off of financial literacy, financial education, and life insurance. And I do apologize if I'm not pronouncing his name correctly. But the moral of the story is that a lot of this, when you're looking at being able to start from above ground, below ground, and at ground level with financial literacy, is what did you come in the world with? Everybody doesn't come in with nothing.
Right.
Some folks have already came in with an estate, a trust, endowments. And with what you're doing, it is helping all people. But for those of us that come from families where these type of things were not in place, I believe that you kind of help give us an opportunity to be able to level the playing field, like a game changer in our local communities. I did ask you about individuals and them being able to reach out to you. If I was a senior pastor of a local congregation if I was, I'm watching this in LA, I'm watching this in New York, I'm watching this in Miami, and I run a small business, lawn care business, dental practice, medical practice, a sales workforce. Are they able to reach out to you to educate their employees? Because, like I said, for me, when I started my business, my thing was I want my employees to feel like they're working for the greatest company on earth. Like their founder or their president wants them to succeed and win. My hashtag is you can get it too. There's nothing that God has given me that He can't give you if you're willing to commit and have discipline. But the more of the story is, I need you to let them know if they can reach out to you, if they have a small business like myself. I'm an entrepreneur. They're an entrepreneur. They want to make sure that they got their ducks in a row, but they also want to make sure that their employees have their ducks in a row for their children and their children's children. How do they reach out to you?
Well, so very good question again. And they can also reach me at 904-252-2918, which is my cell phone number.
Okay.
So we're talking about businesses.
Yes.
And so originally
businesses,
we talked about
churches, nonprofits.
Correct. Right. So originally we talked about individuals, and yes, we service at the individual level, but we also service at the corporate level, right? So small business owners, mid-sized business owners, it really doesn't matter. They have financial needs too, right? They have needs for financial planning, retirement planning, things of that nature, and they also need help. And so we're here to help them. For congregations, we do seminars, educational seminars, to help bring up their level of literacy, right? So when we start talking about why would we do that at the church? Well, why not at church, right? So as part of our literacy campaign, we also talk about charitable giving. Charitable giving, not to just organizations out in the community, but also the church, because the church is a part of the community. And we need to start thinking about, in our legacy planning, including the church, right, that we attend, and we've attended for 20 or 30 years, and they've been there for food drives and clothes giveaway. Well, why not continue to support that?
Light bill, rent,
right? The
mortgage,
daily activities, right? And so we try to incorporate that at every level, at the individual level, at a business level, and also at a church level.
Awesome. And are you landlocked to Duval?
No, I'm actually able to go anywhere in the United States, any of the 50 United States states, any of the territories as well.
All right, and then Jackson was a big military town. When it comes to military personnel, I know that they do have family fleet services. Are you able to partner with those who are about to retire, those who are retired, as well with their financial planning, financial literacy, estate planning, et cetera?
Yeah, well, to be honest, we can actually help anybody at whatever level they're at, whether they're just starting their career, whether they're thinking about retiring, or whether that they just recently moved into retirement. We can actually help at any of those levels, particularly military. We help with their TSP. We become more of a financial transition coach to them to help them transition from that military life financially over into the civilian life.
Awesome. We're getting close on time. If there's anything that I did not ask that you would like to share with our viewing and listening audience, this is your time.
No, I appreciate it. I just want to say, first of all, foremost, thank you for the time. For the folks that are listening, do something about your financial situation. We're in a time and an age where the system is not going to work for you. It's not going to build your dreams for you. It's not going to pat you on the back and tell you you did a good job. It's not going to hold you accountable. You need someone on your side who's going to do that. Someone who's going to walk a journey with you. Someone who's going to hold you accountable and allow you to hold them accountable. That way, as you walk the journey together, you can accomplish some things. And I'm not talking about accomplishing just a retirement account. I'm talking about a legacy.
I love it. To our listening and viewing audience, as I've shared with you in the past, knowledge is power. Knowledge of self is powerful. Knowledge of God is the source of all power. We got a great gem and jewel here with Elder Terrence Gray. He's placed his telephone number out there. Please reach out to him. Schedule your appointment. Schedule your Zoom call. And let's put our finances and keep our houses and homes and families and communities in order. As I always say, thank you for listening, tuning in, leaning in, and tapping in. I love you, and God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.